vocabulary lesson.
When I was a kid.
Oh great, a narrator.
When alien life entered our world, it was from deep beneath the Pacific Ocean.
Movie thinks I'm just gonna accept that.
A fissure between two tectonic plates. A portal between dimensions.
Honestly, if this is all the harder you're gonna work to explain the science part of your fiction, don't even explain it. Just jump right into the action. Destruction of the Golden Gate Bridge when action film takes place in San Francisco cliché.
6 days and 35 miles later, 3 cities were destroyed. Tens of thousands of lives were lost.
I don't mean to be insensitive, but is that all? I mean, 6 full days of that thing rampaging through 3 major cities and only tens of thousands died? Those are pretty good numbers, actually. You should consider yourself lucky.
And then the third one hit Cabo.
Even the kaiju have to go on spring break. Why is the archive footage of the initial setbacks faced by the Jaeger program in black and white? It was still filmed in the future, right?
Hey, kid.
Yeah?
Don't get cocky.
Probable Star Wars homage ends up feeling more like a cheesy ripoff.
We were never star athletes.
This motherfucker is still narrating. Jaegers use Inception music to introduce themselves. Okay, so just seconds ago you rose up out of the water completely submerged, but now you're standing in the water and it comes up to your knees. So what position must Gypsy Danger have been in underwater in order to pull up that rise up from the deep move? Like lying flat on the floor of the ocean, right? Oh, come on. This cannon loaded up immediately earlier and now it takes forever to load? 17 minutes in, the movie finally feels confident it's given you enough backstory to tell the actual story. Did you, just watch The Avengers right before shooting this stuff? Is Powers Booth up there somewhere? Give Idris Elba an eye patch and I could seriously begin to doubt which movie I'm watching.
An enormous Category 4 broke through the coastal wall in less than an hour.
Why are you surprised? Why is anyone surprised? You built a giant wall to try and keep out something that eats boats and giant robots for breakfast. Shatterdome? Gypsy Danger? Who the hell did we put in charge of naming things in the future? I'm guessing it's someone's 12-year-old cousin.
To me, you're dead white.
Dude, you have f***ing kaiju in this movie. Do we really need a paint-by-numbers bully as a secondary antagonist? Do we really need a label to know that this is the candidate trials? Does knowing that it's 6 a.m. add anything to our enjoyment of this scene?
I made my decision. Report to the Shatterdome in 2 hours and find out who your co-pilot will be.
Is there any reason at all for the mystery? If you've made up your mind and it's not her, then why make him wait? I mean, obviously the screenwriter wants him to wait so that we can have the big reveal as he changes his mind and chooses the girl after all, but that's for us, the audience. There's no reason for Raleigh not to know, or the actual guy who got picked. Well, either he's got a nosebleed or Spider-Man's on the ceiling of the elevator trying not to be seen.
They're colonists. They overtake worlds. They just consume them and then they move on to...
Wait, which is it? Do they colonize or consume? Those two things are not synonymous.
And now, with ozone depletion and carbon monoxide polluted waters, well, we practically terraformed it for them.
Oh, for f***'s sake. Even the movie about giant robots fighting giant alien monsters has to shove environmental messages down our throat. We're destroying Earth. We get it. If I wanted to hear about that, I definitely wouldn't go to a giant robot fighting movie. This is actually terrifying and awesome. This is a way better backstory than Raleigh's. Why isn't she the main character? Why doesn't the movie just start with this and skip all the wah my brother died crap? This whole complex looks pretty damn big. Why did the leader end up with an office that is 40% water? How is it even remotely practical to have a moat in your office? There are no other rooms in the place that had actual floors? Like, the pilot's quarters do?
First drifts are rough.
Man, this is the quietest Jaeger factory in the history of Jaeger factories. They're practically whispering. And why shouldn't they? It's dead silent in this.
Double, get back.
Wait a minute. If the kaiju are only just now appearing 2 at a time, then why the hell did they ever need more than a handful of Jaegers back in the day? I mean, the kaiju back then would have been 1 at a time, coming with much more time between them. It was years ago. They were also a lot smaller. So why did we have a fleet of dozens of Jaegers? What the f*** were they all doing? Why does the historical footage early in the movie show only 1 or 2 Jaegers at a time fighting a kaiju? It's not like there were multiple kaiju at once around the world for them to be all off in different places. It's not like they would have been patrolling their own sections of the world, since the kaiju always come from the same spot and that spot is monitored. The marshal says they used to launch 30 Jaegers and are now down to just 4. How the f*** is that even possible? Why do they have to fly these things by helicopter to where the breach is? Why didn't they just build their 30 Jaeger-capable launching facility somewhere, closer to the breach, so they could just walk out? Or, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse here, but why not just build some giant cannons out of the same kind of blue energy the Jaegers are using, which seems to kill kaiju? And just set up some motion detecting cameras so the guns act as sentries and boom, problem solved. Okay, so the Chinese Jaeger has 3 pilots because it has this fancy 3-armed attack mode, but With drifting in a normal Jaeger, the movie has shown us that both pilots move their right arm to move the robot's right arm, and both pilots walk in order to make the legs move. So how does adding a third pilot to the Chinese Jaeger enable them to collectively move a third arm? All the pilots are presumably drifting together as a threesome, but none of them actually have third arms. And if it's possible to divide the arms up among pilots, then why go through all the motions to show the other Jaeger pilots have to move their arms and legs in tandem? Is there any need to drift at all if you can just add a third pilot to control a third arm? 2 of his 3 active Jaegers are completely gone. Instead of sending Raleigh and Mako to suit up immediately, the Marshal just grimaces. See, like these cannons. Is there any particular reason these cannons have to be mounted on a giant robot? Could you not just line the entire breach area with automated versions of these things? Just like most movie villains, the kaiju ignore their perfect opportunity to finish Stryker, and one of them even swims away. I don't know how many minutes are supposed to have passed since Stryker went dead in the water, but since then, the other kaiju has been pacing around them, but also, Raleigh talked the Marshal into letting them go out. They got suited up, got the nuclear-powered Gypsy Danger all fired up, strapped into the helicopters, and flew that thing out to Hong Kong City Harbor. That's way too much to have gone down in just a handful of minutes. Kinda convenient that the kaiju didn't use any of the awesome new attacks on Gypsy that have been so effective on the other 3 Jaegers. Instead, he just tries to mostly wrestle this time, and he pays for it. Aw, man, my Xbox One was in there. The second kaiju has been really inefficient in his destruction of the city while all this was going on. I mean, yeah, there's some flames there, but honestly, I'm surprised there are any tall buildings at all still standing. Couldn't he just run back and forth in a lawnmower pattern and have the whole thing licked in 60 seconds?
I can't pinpoint it!
How can you possibly lose track of a kaiju? This is even worse than when the military kept losing track of Godzilla. Ah, melty blue acid spray. Cool. Why don't they use that all the time? Is there none of the acid left inside the kaiju's mouth? Shouldn't Gypsy's fingers get melted off now?
Vent the coolant on the left flank!
Coolant venting. CO2
Venting coolant!
The computer says it's venting the coolant before Mako actually pushes the button. Is the sword new? Did Raleigh not know about it? And if so, why did they not tell him? Wait, this is how close the Shatterdome is to Hong Kong City? Like, literally right on the harbor. And yet they still took the time to hook up and fly each Jaeger by helicopter? This is like literally 6 Jaeger steps from where the helicopters were dropping them off. These assholes are celebrating like it's the end of Star Wars, but really half their pilots are dead, along with tens of thousands of civilians of Hong Kong City.
It's pregnant.
Right. We don't have nearly enough similarities to Godzilla in this movie. Let's add some more. Main character trips and falls while running away from evil cliché. Where the f*** did the mathematician come from? He wasn't with the Always Sunny guy throughout the entire ordeal. He just magically appears right here at the spot of the baby kaiju death that no one could have predicted. He's standing on the dock of the Shatterdome with everyone else just a little bit ago. So did the Always Sunny guy call the base, tell them about the dead baby kaiju, and request the help of the mathematician he can't stand, and then wait while they flew that guy out there by helicopter, and only then say he's got
5 minutes before brain death occurs! Who's gonna be my co-pilot?
dialogue perfectly timed to coincide with silly reveal that surprises only the characters in the movie. The 2 scientists decide they need to warn the Jaegers that their plan won't work, and decide the best way to tell them is by helicopter, instead of a radio, a phone, or smoke signal, all of which would have been faster. This kaiju's able to sneak up on Gypsy even though the home base people were clearly monitoring their position and movement just a few seconds ago. Remember, that was a 2,400-ton bomb. I'm impressed they built Gypsy Danger out of materials that can withstand a nuclear blast that size in close proximity. That thing survived a nuke up close? I know it's a Category 5, but they just took down a Category 4 with a sword.
Rally!
Oh yeah, the radios still work, even though these guys are in an alternate alien dimension. Hey boss, how many choppers should we send out to pick up the 2 survivors? All of them.
Where is my goddamn shoe?
See, this is why it's a bad thing when every movie has to have an end credits scene. Because some of them don't know what the hell to do with it, and they give you useless like this.
We were never star athletes.
Where the hell's this god of yours?